Hello and welcome back. In the last lesson, we made a mock-up of what we want our homepage to look like. We also got a temporary Hello World placeholder for where we want our homepage to be. In this lesson, we're going to extend on that and we're going to build a homepage. To accomplish this, we'll first install Bootstrap in our application. Then we're going to talk briefly about the asset pipeline. Then we're also going to talk about the layout file for our site, which is the application.html.erb file under layouts. And then we'll start building the homepage. Now I had some time after the last lesson to finish up the mockup for the homepage. Now let me pull it up here. There it is. So I added some color to the navigation and finished up this options section, added some buttons, and I think we have enough to go by. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get started. So first, we're going to install Bootstrap. To install Bootstrap, pull up a browser tab and type in bootstrap-sas. That's SAS with two S's at the end. Click on this first link. All right. So here's some installation instructions. So first we're going to add this gem to our gem file. Okay, so go ahead and copy this where it says gem bootstrap SAS. Copy this. Now in our Rails app, navigate to the gem file. Make sure you're in the workspace app. Okay, now my gem file might look a little different from yours. If you pull up the gem file for the first time, you'll see a lot of commented out gems like this. So those are comments in Ruby, and I've just deleted them and cleaned up the file a little bit. So I'm going to add the gem right here. Okay, and then save this. Now let's check on what it's asking us to do next. Okay, Bootstrap requires the use of auto prefixer to allow browser. Simply add this gem. We don't really need this, but we're gonna go ahead and add this anyway. Let's try it out. All right, and then it says to bundle install and restart your server. So our server is currently not running, so we're just going to type in bundle install. It's going to go ahead and fetch the Bootstrap SAS and auto prefixer Rails gems from rubygems.org. Okay, so those are installed. What does it ask us to do next? Import styles in application css.scss. Okay, here is where we're going to divert a little bit from the instructions here, and we're also going to talk about the asset pipeline. So under the app, if you go to the app folder and assets, you'll see images, JavaScripts, and style sheets. Okay, so this is the asset pipeline. All of our style sheets will be listed here. Whatever individual style sheets you work with for this course and for your application will be listed here. And any JavaScript files will be listed here. Now, what are these two files that came with the app by default? This is the application CSS file. Now, if you read through it, it's a manifest file that'll be compiled into application.css, etc., etc. The two important things to note here, even though it looks like it's commented out, is right here where it says star equals require tree and require self. Now the sprockets gem uses these two, okay, and uses it as code. Actually, even though it looks like it's commented out, the sprockets gem uses this and acts on it. So what does this mean? Require tree means that any style sheet files you have under this style sheets folder will be made available to your app by this application CSS file. Okay. Now, the same thing for the application JS. This also has required tree, which basically means all the files under JavaScript folder all the JavaScript files will be made available to your app via this application.js file because it's saying required tree. Okay. So now in the application CSS file, you can go ahead. If you follow the instructions here, it says to rename this file to css.scss because for Bootstrap, we installed Bootstrap Sass. So that's what this .scss stands for. It basically identifies it as a Sass file. And then you can do your styling within this file, the application CSS file. But we're not going to do that. We're going to leave this file as is, and we're going to create a custom.css.scss file, and we're going to add all our styling to that. Now, because this application CSS file has this required tree, that custom css.scss file will be available to our app via this because it has the required tree line over here. Okay? All right. So let's go back and see the instructions. So now we're going to create that custom css.scss file and add this. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. So under style sheets, create a new folder. Actually, that was incorrect. We want to create a new file. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new file and call it custom.css.scss. Then I'm going to go ahead and delete this empty folder that I just created. Okay. Now within this, I have to put in the instructions. It says here, import bootstrap sprockets and import bootstrap. Okay. And then save it. And then it says to remove the application CSS, but we are not going to because we're using a custom CSS file. So we didn't create this application css.scss file. Okay. Now, it's also asking us to require bootstrap JavaScripts. So we're going to copy this line where it says require / equals require bootstrap - sprockets. We're going to copy this line, go back to your application, and we're going to put that in the application.js file right under where it says require jQuery_ujs. Right here, we're going to copy this, paste this, then save this. Okay, great. So that's all we need to get Bootstrap installed in our application. Next, I want you to pull up a browser tab and go to getbootstrap.com. And then on top, go to the component section. And then I want you to browse through all these options, all these styling options that Bootstrap makes available for use. And they're really good, like things like navbar, which we're going to use, then Jumbotron, like if you click on it, like how to get Jumbotron on your page. And once you have Bootstrap installed, this is literally all you need in order to get Jumbotron going. So it basically makes it very easy to use the different classes that Bootstrap has and makes available. So for example, to create this complicated navbar, here's all the code to create this, right? And you won't really need all of this code, but you can use pieces of it and see which works for your application. I would totally encourage you to try out different pages and different styling options if you have not used Bootstrap already. And you can do it for the blog app that we played around with earlier. You can create a homepage for that and, test out different things. Now for our application, we're going to look at the mock-up. First thing we're going to build is the nav bar, right? So let's go ahead and get started with that one. So let's go back to our application.